In Clinton's campaign, the DNC, they funneled over $12 million through a law firm, Perkins Coie. Did you know that, too? Why did they funnel that money? And then there's the fixed Clinton email investigation, Mr. Comey. Sit down and explain why any investigator, you work for the FBI, why were you writing an exoneration months before interviewing not only Hillary Clinton, but 17 other key witnesses? That's what you did in Hillary Clinton in the email investigation. Now take a look, Mr. Comey, at the side of your screen. You are probably familiar with 18 U.S.C. 793. That makes it illegal. In other words, against the law, to mishandle classified, top secret, special access program information. Did Hillary Clinton mishandle all that information by keeping that unsecured server in the bathroom of a mom and pop shop closet? Oh, was she trying to circumvent congressional oversight? Now, you originally said it was likely that hostile foreign actors hacked into Hillary's server. Did Russia hack into that server? Did China? Did Iran? Did North Korea? Did they gain access to America's top secrets and Hillary's emails? Or what about the fact that Hillary Clinton, she deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails? Mr. Comey, is that a crime? Is that obstructing justice? We'd like for you to explain a couple of these reports. Take a look at these headlines. October 2016, FBI source, majority of staff on Clinton case wanted her prosecuted. Exclusive. FBI agents say Comey, that would be you, stood in the way of the Clinton email investigation. Mr. Comey, can you please explain those headlines? Can we talk to the agents that worked for you, that worked on that case? And what about what former FBI Assistant Director James Kallstrom is saying to the American people about all of this? You may want to pay attention.
I think we have ample facts revealed to us during this last year and a half that high-ranking people throughout the government, not just the FBI, high-ranking people had a plot to not have Hillary Clinton, indicted so that she could remain the flawed candidate that she was, which in my view was stupidity. And they also had and even this Strzok guy talked about this. They had a backup plan to basically frame Donald Trump. Right. And that's what's been going on. This whole thing, in my view, is just total phony. I mean, how would you feel, someone out there in America land, if somebody was just had a phony scheme about you and went on for months and months and months?
So, Mr. Comey, Mr. Deep State, here's an open invitation for you to come on this show, come tell your story, come sell your book, and answer some real questions. And Mr. Comey, if you care about the truth, it's fine. Go running to your liberal friends for a little safe space to talk, but answer real questions here. Now, also tonight, members of the fake news media, they have lost their minds yet again over all things Donald Trump. And in this case, for Donald Trump daring to call out the extreme and abusive bias, the massive conflicts of interest that surround Robert Mueller's special counsel. We've been telling you this for a long time. The media just can't stand the fact that the president is defending himself and telling the truth, no collusion, and exposing their agenda and their lies. So the president over the weekend, he tweeted out this: as the House Intelligence Committee has concluded, no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign, as many are now finding out. However, there was tremendous leaking, lying, corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, the Justice Department, and the State Department. Hashtag drain the swamp. Now, Mueller has been at this for almost 10 months, Congress for over 14 months, and so far, nothing, no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. Mueller, if you got it, come on the show and tell America. And by the way, if the media, if you have more proof that this is not a witch hunt, okay, I don't believe you. Axios is reporting tonight that Robert Mueller is more interested in what happened after the election than before the election. The collusion supposedly was the whole reason for the entire investigation. And by the way, how can Rod Rosenstein, this guy is so conflicted, he should have recused himself, because on the one hand, he signs off on one of the 4 FISA warrants using Clinton's bought and paid for Russian dossier, and then he also appoints Mueller. I say conflict of interest. Now, it's why the president tweeted, quote, the Mueller probe should never have been started, in that there was no collusion and no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and a fake phony dossier paid for by Crooked Hillary and the DNC and improperly used in a FISA court for surveillance of my campaign. Witch hunt. And by the way, people are saying this weekend, well, act like you're not guilty. Okay, saying I didn't do it means you're acting like you're not guilty. And then the president added, why does the Mueller team have 13 hardened Democrats, some big crooked Hillary supporters, 0 Republicans? Another Democrat recently added, does anyone think this is fair? And yet there is no collusion. The president is right to be fed up with all of this. Look at what it has done to this country in the last year. Look at the side of your screen. Mueller's merry band of Democratic donors giving over 50 grand to Democrats, including Obama, Clinton, and the DNC. None of those people donated to the Trump campaign. So if the president's innocent, I say he has every right to be upset, every right to speak out. Mueller's swamp and his deep state, they are abusively biased. They've been shown to be corrupt, shown to have an agenda. And according to a report, Andrew Weissman, by the way, described by the New York Times as Mueller's pit bull, attended Hillary Clinton's election night party. And Jeanine Ray did legal work for the Clinton Foundation. That's who's on Mueller's team. And as for the media, they went absolutely nuts speculating that Trump was going to fire Mueller. No, that's not what the president said. He said it never should have started. He never insinuated in any way he was going to fire Mueller, but that's not what your lying news media reported this weekend.
President Trump sharpening his attacks, really taking aim directly for the first time at special counsel Robert Mueller, calling him out by name. Of course, all of that raised a lot of questions about whether the president was trying to undermine his credibility, move to have him fired.
Big players in this investigation covering this feel like attacking this personally, the way the president has acted over the weekend, is a step toward firing Mueller.
Do you think that the president is laying the groundwork to fire Mueller?
We've seen this series of tweets right now, the statement from the Trump lawyer suggesting the entire investigation should be shut down. What would happen if the president made that move?
All right, joining us now, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, also an investigative reporter, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. All right, so here we have McCabe fired for lying under oath repeatedly. Isn't that what General Flynn just got charged with?
Multiple times under oath, according to the Attorney General. And so that means 3 different crimes with which he should be indicted and prosecuted. One is false statements, the other is perjury, and finally obstruction of justice. If Flynn gets charged with making a false statement, by that reasoning, shouldn't McCabe?
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Now, McCabe is obviously lawyered up at this point, and he's going to need a good defense lawyer because it's not just those 3 crimes, but he also signed off on the dossier in violation of the law because the dossier wasn't verified by the FBI. McCabe and Comey both knew it.
Look at these new text messages between Sarah Strzok and Page, the FBI lovebirds. What's fascinating about this, you got Strzok and Page. Strzok was also working on the exoneration with Comey before the investigation. But also, this is really scary, this exchange that we talked about on Friday night, as they talk about Rudolph Contreras. He's a FISA court judge.
He's a FISA court judge, and he's friends, from looking at these text messages, he's actually good friends with Peter Strzok. And Peter Strzok and Lisa Page are discussing in these text messages how best to talk with him, how best to meet up with him, so it doesn't raise any red flags, so that he doesn't have to recuse himself. Remember, Peter Strzok was the head of the counterintelligence. He investigated into Russia and many other matters. So a lot of his warrants to the FISA court would go directly to them, possibly even to Judge Contreras. So I think what's even more telling is that the DOJ withheld this from Congress, withheld this from the American people. Remember, it was redacted. It wasn't until the House Oversight Committee, till congressional members sent over their investigators that had to keep going back and forth, that were able to dig this up. They were able to make those connections and then ask for that to be redacted or semi-redacted. And then that's when the evidence evidence came forward. This is something that really needs to be investigated. You cannot have a fifth court judge friends with somebody in the FBI, somebody who was involved in Flynn's case. December 1st, 2017 is when Flynn went before Judge Contreras and pled guilty. And then 7 days later, he's recused and there's no explanation.
All right, let me bring in Tom Fitton here. Tom, as you look at all of this here and you look at the media's reaction and how they can spin the president who has every right now. We now know Comey's in trouble, Strzok is in trouble, Page is in trouble, McCabe is in obvious trouble. I would bet Loretta Lynch is in trouble. Bring Brennan and others in here as well. And we have deep state actors that clearly did not want Donald Trump to A, get elected, and B, to succeed, and they have been undermining him in ways that I don't think any American could ever have imagined.
Well, you know, the anti-Trump media and their allies in Congress are trying to prop up a Mueller operation that's collapsing. You have McCabe and Comey, and you can't say one without the other because they were working closely together. McCabe was Comey's protege. Comey, according to the documents we uncovered, blessed McCabe's involvement in the Clinton email investigation despite his conflicts of interest. He only recused himself after it was publicly reported he had a conflict, and they were pretending he didn't have one, but then they secretly recused him. He secretly recused himself. And on top of that, now we have McCabe being accused of lying. The number 2 official at the FBI is a certified liar by the FBI and the Department of Justice and the Attorney General. Any investigations he's been involved in, we know about the Clinton and the Russia one. Who knows how many other investigations are tainted as a result of these lies?
Look at Comey and Brennan and how arrogant these people are.
You know, Comey is one of the most self-righteous, insufferably arrogant people I think I've ever seen in such a high position.
What about Brennan? What about Clapper?
Well, Brennan was the instigator. He was running all over Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill, pushing the dossier together with his partner, James Clapper, and that will come out.
All right, thank you all for being with us. So much more to get to. Sarah, thank you. Tom, Greg, thank you all for joining us tonight. And joining us, he's the chairman of the House Intel Committee. Devin Nunes is with us. Congressman, good to see you again. Thanks for being with us. Let's first get your take on the firing of the Deputy FBI Director, Andrew McCabe, and the statement of the Attorney General.
Well, as you know, we've had the FBI under investigation by our committee for a long time on FISA abuse and other matters. So it doesn't surprise me that Mr. McCabe went. However, our investigation still is ongoing. Mr. McCabe still owes us answers no matter where he's working, and eventually he's going to have to come forward and provide those answers.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, he's going to have to provide the answers, but I really see, he even seemed to, in his statement, implicate James Comey. Did you catch that as well, that he knew about the leaks in the media?
Yeah, I mean, that's why this is becoming so difficult, right? There's so many witnesses now who have testimony all over the map, which is why I think you continue to see this call for somehow DOJ and FBI are going to have somebody who can actually investigate them and put all of this out there, you know, because we're continuing to have problems in Congress just getting the information that we need. The latest example of that, Sean, was the text messages that emerged on Friday night. We did not have those text messages, and we had asked for those text messages back in October, November, and December. So it's very difficult for Congress to get to the bottom of this. I mean, every day we find out something new. However, I think at this point there's so many crimes that have to be investigated. They need to get somebody over there who's going to run a thorough investigation and maybe work with the IG when that report comes out.
And do we know when we're finally getting this IG report? I mean, I keep hearing one former head of the FBI or top FBI official said it is pure TNT.
Yeah, I have not seen it. I have not been briefed by Mr. Horowitz. That is really under the jurisdiction of the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee. However, the IG does have a lot of information that my committee is very interested in when it comes to what we continue to look at and call it FISA abuse.
Yeah. You know, James Kallstrom has been a longtime friend of this program, and he actually made this statement. Former assistant FBI director, high-ranking people throughout the government had a plot to protect Hillary Clinton from being indicted. In your opinion, based on what we know, and 18 U.S.C. 793, which says you cannot mishandle classified information. Similarly, you cannot destroy it. Then, of course, you have subpoenaed emails that are deleted, acid wash, bleach pit, busting up devices with hammers. Do you have any doubt in your mind that those are crimes?
Well, as you know, our committee continues to look at conspiracy. We're looking at obstruction. We're looking at misleading Congress. And also there's the statute and civil rights code that involves, I think, abuse of power and using your position to go after someone personally. Actually, Greg Jarrett, I've seen him on your show many times. He's talked about this this provision. And so there's many crimes that have to be looked at, but I keep reminding people, Congress cannot prosecute. All we can do is make a referral to the Justice Department. And then the challenge is who are we going to refer it to? Because as you know, we don't know who over at the Justice Department is involved in this, who would have to be recuse themselves because of their involvement or their knowledge of what happened over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, now the public, this poll that I referred to in the last segment about the deep state is very telling. I want to ask you about two issues involving James Comey. The president pointed out a testimony that James Comey was under oath to Senator Graham. Have you ever been an anonymous source or known someone else to be an anonymous source? He said, never, no. Do we now know that's not true with the leak that we know that he was involved in?
Well, you bring up a very valid point. So somebody is lying, right? So we don't know who, but those stories don't jive. Now, I'm sure this is all out there now. They're going to try to start to cover up their tracks, but this is why we have to have them back in to answer these questions. We still have a questionnaire that's out that they have not responded to. That's unacceptable. We needed to know when exactly did they learn that the dossier was paid for by the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton campaign.
We do have evidence of what Hillary Clinton did as it relates to the email server. We do have evidence that, in fact, an exoneration was written before an investigation. We do have evidence that Hillary fixed a primary, and we do have evidence that she paid for a phony dossier, funneling money through a law firm, and that dossier that she paid for was then used to get and obtain a FISA warrant with great omissions and lies on 4 separate occasions to FISA judges. Am I wrong on any of that?
No, I think that's exactly right. And so what we're trying to determine here is who was involved at the FBI and the Department of Justice that made these decisions to move forward, not only to make the decisions on what to do with the Clinton campaign, but then that's what Mr. Gowdy and Mr. Goodlatte are investigating, and the IG, Mr. Horowitz. But we're also trying to look at, well, who made this decision to open up this investigation, and why was it done? Because it doesn't appear to me like they had any credible evidence to open up a counterintelligence investigation, and that's what we just can't have in this country, where you have political dirt that's paid for by one political party and used against another, especially using our foreign intelligence capabilities. It just can't happen in this country.
It can't. It's illegal. The comments seem very arrogant from both James Comey and Brennan this weekend as it relates to the president. It seems personal, and it seems abusively biased. What is your reaction to their comments?
Yeah, I saw those comments over the weekend, and I was really quite surprised because, and this is again not helping where we have to go in this country, right? The American people expect the intelligence agencies not to be political, and what you're seeing is the comments that are coming out from the highest levels of the intelligence agencies from the last administration are quite alarming. I mean, this is it's just way out of character. I mean, you don't see former CIA directors making those types of comments like Mr. Brennan made over the weekend. I don't know why he did it. Maybe he should retract it, but we'll see.
All right. Well, it seems what James Kallstrom said, that high-ranking people throughout the government had a plot to protect Hillary from being indicted, and I would add, undermining Donald Trump. Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir, for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
And joining us now with reaction, Michelle Malkin, Investigates host on CRTV. Michelle Malkin, Fox News, national security strategist, former deputy assistant to the president, Sebastian Gorka. Michelle, your reaction to all of this and this is really just the tip of the iceberg, McCabe.
It is. The stench emanating from the top echelons of the FBI are beyond fetid. I mean, this is the malodorous muck of the deep state swamp. And as desperate as the desperation media is, Sean, there is nothing they can do to cover it up. They'll keep repeating the same tired, false talking points about this being some sort of partisan witch hunt on the part of the Trump administration. That's pure psychological projection. And you can't hide the fact that it was career FBI people and an Obama appointee in Michael Horowitz. So you've got the IG within the Justice Department and the Office of Professional Responsibility that signed off on this firing last Friday. It has nothing to do, as you said, Sean, with Donald Trump. And I think you're absolutely right. You've been saying it for a long time that this is the tip of the iceberg. And I have to say that as a matter of historical context, this did not just come out of nowhere. I reported over the last 8 years about how the Obama administration, and particularly people in the Justice Department, thwarted at every turn Inspector General's investigations. It happened at Justice. It happened in the EPA, Interior, TARP, every single one of these civilian agencies. And so you add the national security implications and dangers of the hijacking of our intelligence agencies. And yes, we are in the midst of a constitutional crisis.
And it's to undermine a duly elected president and to assist a felon lawbreaker and literally exonerate somebody who committed many laws. That is a constitutional crisis. Let me go to Dr. Gorka. You have Rice, you have Clapper, you have Brennan, you have Comey, you have Page, you have Strzok, you have Loretta Lynch, you have the Obama administration top down.
Absolutely.
Deep state.
Let's remember, this individual, Andy McCabe, he's just a small part of a massive conspiracy. And again, the OPR, it sounds very anodyne, the Office of Professional Responsibility. That's the IAD of the FBI. That's the Internal Affairs Division. And they said this guy cannot get his pension. That is a massive blow. And it's just the beginning. But now comes the real test, Sean. Now AG Sessions has to clean the stable.
Special counsel.
Right.
Special counsel. All right, guys, you've been amazing. Thank you all. So much more to get to. We're way behind the great one, Mark Levin. He's next.